Are you looking to take your personal finances to the next level? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, with your host, Joseph Sangl.
All right, we'll get fired up. It is episode number 35 of the Monday Money Tip Podcast. My name is Joe Sangl with my co-host, Megan Hibbard. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
That's awesome.
Officially the time of this recording, in the last month of being pregnant.
That's it.
Yeah,
And at the time of this release,
I could have a baby.
Could have a baby, but it'd be a little early still. And we're so excited to meet this child. And this child, have you announced to the podcast audience what you're having, a boy or a girl?
I think so, but we're having a boy.
Yes.
And just in case. Surprise.
So Jordan and Megan are having a little boy, and it is their firstborn, and they're so excited. We had a really awesome party for everybody in the staff. We have 3 babies showing up in our offices at the worldwide headquarters in Anderson, South Carolina.
I tell you, something in the water in Anderson.
Yes.
I'm pregnant and due in March, and then another girl is due in May, and then we have another couple due in July.
That's it.
So every 2 months. I don't know what that says.
So it's amazing. We're still finding out who is going to be delivering in what would be September. And then another one can be born in November, and we would be every other month. That'd be awesome. But we're so excited for this episode of the podcast. And why don't you tell everybody what we're going to talk about today?
Yes. So our topic for today is 15 words that describe budgeting. So our topic question is, many people despise the idea of budgeting. They feel it's very challenging and restricting. Because of this, they normally associate budgeting with negative words and emotions. Today, we will be discussing alternative words and phrases to use to describe budgeting.
Awesome. This is going to be a great topic.
Yeah.
And we love to help people with budgeting. But first, it's that great time. You know what time it is, right?
Yes.
Let's go.
Now it's time to get caught up with our current money events.
Today's current event section is sponsored by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. Utilize the free tools and calculators to help you move forward to a fully funded life.
That's right. And you can check it out at iwbnin.com. Utilize all of our free tools. It's awesome. And today's topic is focused on spring cleaning. Like you've been nesting, I'm sure.
I have.
For this baby boy.
Yes.
What's the most peculiar nesting habit that you've discovered, like that all of a sudden you just desired to do this more than you've normally done?
I clean my kitchen cabinets, which I haven't really had that strong of a desire to do that. I want to get our house deep cleaned, but I don't want to do it.
There we go. I understand that feeling completely. I mean,
mainly because bending down is very challenging.
Yes.
It's not because I don't want to do, I want to do it, but I think maybe more I can't do it.
There's limitations right now. And so, spring cleaning is something that is a natural thing. For some reason, we want to do that. For those that have been locked up indoors in the freezing cold weather in the Northland, they just can't wait to get out of the house. It's cabin fever.
Yeah.
For those that are in the South, it's those beautiful, pristine days before it becomes 7 billion degrees. And the 5th season of the year called Inferno, or maybe the 6th season, Raging Inferno.
I like that season.
Yeah, I don't. But spring cleaning. So it's the beginning of March. The daffodils have been blooming here at the worldwide headquarters about 3 weeks now. And I know some of our northern friends might be staring at snow even while listening to this episode. But hopefully, a few of the crocuses. Do you know what a crocus is?
It doesn't sound good.
It's a beautiful flower.
Oh.
Actually, a purple flower. You have yellow flower.
They should come up with a
white
new
crocuses.
name.
They're crocuses, and they actually will blossom right out of the snow. Pretty awesome. And so, just so you know, if you're watching snow while you're listening to this podcast, we're sending you warm vibes your way. It'll be there very soon. So to warm you up, let's talk about spring cleaning your budget today. And so what does spring cleaning your budget look like? It looks like spring cleaning in your house. So for today's current money event, which is amazing, I nailed it. We want to talk about spring cleaning your budget. So are there any monthly subscriptions that you just need to dump? I know that usually after there's a spring cleaning at our house, it usually involves a trip to the dump afterwards.
Yep, or Goodwill.
Or some combination of two. Sometimes the stuff I've seen at Goodwill looks like they should have went to the dump instead of Goodwill. But that is a good enterprise. But when you're looking at dumping stuff out of your budget, many people have a monthly subscription that they don't need any longer. Mm-hmm. Let me give you an example. My daughter had a graphics program that she paid a monthly fee for, $9.99 a month. And there was a season where she was not using it. So it was time to spring clean it and dump it. Many people have Netflix and Amazon Prime. They could dump one. Let's think about other types of spring cleaning. Do you have any possessions that are taking up space and you just need to sell them and generate some extra cash? You'll generate that extra cash and space. Like, speaking of space, do you pay for a storage unit?
That's the worst.
Which is unbelievable to watch.
There are so many of those all over, even just in Anderson.
Yeah, I love that TV show, Storage Wars. I still watch that. Yeah. It's amazing what people leave in their storage unit. It's amazing. But you could empty the storage unit, sell the stuff, get money for it. You could maybe donate and feel good about yourself by giving some stuff to Goodwill.
Yeah.
You could put stuff in the dump, and you could save a ton of money by eliminating the storage unit and feel that really good feeling that you get from spring cleaning. It's also maybe time to get new insurance quotes and spring clean your budget that way. Maybe it's time to sharpen the pencil on your spending habits. Is there a daily money habit that has snuck into your daily budget and it just needs to be eliminated, like going to Starbucks every day, going out to eat every day? Some people go out to eat for breakfast and lunch and then pick up dinner on the way home. You can save a ton of money. It's time to spring clean one of those habits. And here's what I know. When you spring clean in your budget, when you spring clean your finances, you experience the similar feelings of spring cleaning your house or your barn or a garage. It allows you to experience clarity. It helps you have more financial margin, and it just feels like a renewal. And so that is the Current Money event for today.
That's great.
Wasn't that awesome?
Yeah, I love it.
I like it. We are right now relevant.
Makes me want to go home and clean.
It does?
Yeah.
I have yet to find anything that makes me want to clean that much.
I don't know why. I do like cleaning. My particular favorite is vacuuming. And my in-laws got us one of those like robot vacuums.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And I love it. I think my husband actually loves it more than me. I come out in the mornings or like come home from work and it's just going around the house.
What does Barkley the dog think about the robot?
He's not a fan.
Yeah.
Because he'll be trying to like sleep on the floor and it will come up behind him and scare him. Or he's like, he'll be like, trying to get outside and it's like in his way. He's not a fan. But I like it. I think it's cool.
I like it. That means cleaning year round.
Yeah.
All day long. Awesome.
Whenever. Just hit a button. Okay. So next we're going to go to our success story. And this is from, Jace. How do you feel about that?
I think it's JC's.
Or JC's, maybe?
Yeah. Jacee. JC. I'm going to say JC.
JC or Jace.
Or Jace.
Jace.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's JC.
We'll go with that. If this is you, then you let us know. If we're pronouncing your name wrong, we're so sorry.
My last name gets pronounced wrong all the time. Sangl.
Yeah.
Hooked on a phonics was not out yet when my ancestors chose last names. They need a vowel somewhere. So let's read about JC's success story. We always love these.
I wanted to take a moment to let you know how budgeting is going. I've been struggling with this one on and off for years and have been using your podcast and budgeting challenge to get my rear in gear. I love
like
that.
That rhymes. Get your rear in gear.
Let's start using that.
Yeah. We should have a rear in gear moment.
That could kind of be like your soapbox moment.
Yes, I like it. Get your rear in gear.
We're going to take that. Thank you. I planned out the budget this month and then had several emergencies. Illness while traveling, a furnace that would not light. Oh, had that problem before. That's the worst.
Oh.
And putting the beloved dog to sleep. Oh, can you send us a picture of it? That's so sad. I don't know if I can keep going. It's so sad. Okay, focus. I was able to handle these emergencies by shifting my remaining budget dollars and using savings if needed without getting out a credit card. That's awesome. That was a huge sense of relief for me as this type of situation would cause panic. I still have rungs to climb on the ladder, but your podcast reminds me to keep at it and are a great way to keep me inspired while commuting. Thank you, Joe, Megan, and everyone. Oh,
that's awesome. And we're so sorry about losing your puppy. That's the worst.
I dread that day.
And being sick while you're traveling, is there anything worse?
Yeah, not being at home.
And a furnace that won't light, which means you're cold.
And it's winter.
And you know, what JC's really sharing is the fact that in this life you will have troubles. There will be problems.
Right.
But when you couple them with having problems paying for those things, it adds to that misery. And so the success here is that fact that JC was able to continue to move forward financially and progress instead of regress into debt and brokenness because of their ability to get these tips in place and in gear and their rear in gear.
Yeah.
That is really awesome. So thanks so much for sharing your success story. And for anybody listening on this podcast, we want to hear your success stories. It's what powers us to do this podcast. We're fired up to be able to help you make steps in your journey. And we know it's a journey, not just one moment.
Yep. Awesome. All right. So we're going to go back to our initial topic. So we're talking about words that describe budgeting. Normally, there are a lot of negative words and emotions. So today we're going to be discussing alternative words and phrases to use to describe budgeting.
Okay.
You ready?
That's awesome. I'm ready. Alternative words used to describe budgeting. And before we get into the positive words or the great ways to frame it, I want to first share some negative words. And again, for those of you who want to be able to watch what we're doing while we're speaking during the podcast, we have an episode of every single podcast is now available on Monday mornings on our YouTube channel.
Yep.
And so you can check out episode number 35. You can see some extra stuff on the screen here. But one of the things that I want to share is the negative words, because I wanted to see, if you're driving down the road, you're listening to this podcast, kind of put a check mark in your head mentally on which of these words like you've used to describe or think about budgeting. So I'll have Megan kind of read off the first word here and maybe read off the first 3 or 4 here, and then we'll kind of talk about them.
All right. Number 1, joy robbing experience. 2, frustrating. 3, impossible. 4, horrible. And 5, terrible. We'll start with the first 5.
Yeah, that's great. So have you ever referred to budgeting as a joy-robbing experience or frustrating or impossible or downright horrible? Horrible's an amazing word. And then terrible. Charles Barkley, TRBL. That right there is terrible. I love how he says terrible.
It's all the bowls.
Yeah, all the bowls. The impossibles, the horribles, and the terribles. And those are negative words we've used to describe budgeting, most of us. Right? So maybe you're nodding your head while you're driving along right now. Let's go with the next 6 words.
Maybe you have all 5 checks. 6, no good, very bad.
That's one word, by the way. No good, very bad.
7, awful. 8, depressing. 9, worthless process. 10, a reminder of the fact that there's never enough.
All right, so no good, very bad. Awful, depressing, worthless process, a reminder of the fact that there's never enough. And I've certainly viewed my budget as depressing and a reminder that there was never enough. And I had to break this cycle. And so we're wanting to address it by calling them out into the open.
Yeah.
And then kind of shooting them down. And we're going to do that here in a minute. But before we do that, let's review the next 5. Remember, do that mental checklist.
All right. Number 11, clueless. 12, challenging. 13, painful. 14, I'd rather go to the dentist for a root canal. That is serious.
That's really serious.
And 15, get ready for a money fight with my spouse.
There you go. And so many people, they feel clueless when they deal with money.
Yeah.
And so that's how they view budgeting. They view it as very challenging. They view it as painful, but not so painful. They view it as more painful than a root canal. I mean, that's pretty bad.
That is bad.
And then, it always signals time to fight. And that's not good. And so those are negative words, and I wonder how many of those you kind of found yourself nodding your head as we shared those, because that's how a lot of people view budgeting. That's right. How they view any talk about any topic related to their personal finances. And so we want to talk about words that are better descriptors of what budgeting actually is. Mm-hmm. And so we'll spend a little more time on these, but the first 5 words are what?
All right, number 1, financial planning. 2, cash flow planning. 3, financial stress reducer. 4, impulsive decision preventer. I like that one. 5, motivator.
That's awesome. So really the first 2, financial planning and cash flow planning, really that's what a budget is. It's planning your finances. It is planning the flow of cash. Hopefully, some of it will flow into a large reservoir called your savings and investment accounts. Right? Hopefully you'll be able to be a giver. Hopefully you'll be able to pay all of your bills, but you're really just directing where the money goes. That's really what a budget is. So any negative emotion you feel about budgeting, is you're doing an and. You're adding something to budget. It's budgeting and the fact that I've made some poor decisions, and every time I do a budget, I'm reminded of these poor decisions. And so people when they feel negative about budgeting, it's really misdirected frustration because they're thinking it's the budgeting that is the problem. But it's really a reminder of their financial challenges usually brought on by poor decisions in the past. And a lot of times those poor financial decisions cause us to feel so negatively that we won't embrace the very process, budgeting, that can help them get out of it. And so that's the third, fourth, and fifth one. It is a financial stress reducer. When you do a budget and you know these are the bills that are getting paid, these are the ones that are not, even in that situation where you can't pay all your bills, at least you have clarity on which ones are getting paid, and you can communicate clearly with those that you cannot pay yet. And there's power in communication with your debtors, with your collectors, with the people that you owe, that if you just ask them for assistance, most of them have ways that can really help you manage the money better. And they are honored by the fact that you actually called them, and it causes them to work with you. I love the fourth one, that impulsive decision preventer.
That's a good one.
It is so good. We use cash envelopes as in lockstep, in concert with our budget. We use it on groceries and restaurants, clothing, entertainment, spending money. And I've got cash in my pocket right now. I'm going to pull it out.
I'm trying to think what. Okay.
Yep.
Looking at the date of the month.
We're about halfway through this
Yeah.
month that we're recording this. I think it's Valentine's Day today.
It is.
And it's releasing on March 4th. But here's what I know. I've got $33 in my pocket right now. $33.
There you go.
This is awesome. And so I'm an impulsive spender. This will probably be gone by the end of the night. It's Valentine's Day. But here's what I know. This money right here, I got to buy more flowers.
Don't spend it all in one place.
Right? But really, it prevents impulsive decisions that rob you of the ability to save. And it's the fifth word there that we share is motivator. This motivator word is so powerful because when you do a budget, particularly when you plan out a budget every single month and you look forward about a year, I always look forward 12 months. So whenever I update this month's budget, I will add a new month at the end. And I make adjustments to each of the months. So there's a separate column for each month. And we have an annual budget planner month by month that's available at the I Was Broke Now I'm Not website. Click under tools under annual plan. And planning out that money and looking ahead, and I can say, man, if we're able to do this for the next year, this is how much we have saved up for this thing that we're saving up for. This is the vacation we're going to be able to fund. This is how much money we're going to be able to give away. This is how much we can put away for kids' college, things like that. And that's very motivating. And how do you look at your budget? Do you look at it kind of as a month, or do you kind of look a year ahead? How do you guys look at it?
We're more monthly. I think in like the back of our heads, we're planning, and we know, our family, at least like my family is, we have set times to go on vacation each year. So we know like, okay, in May and August, we're going to have the expense of vacation. A lot of times Jordan and I like to go on like little mini weekend vacations. So we like to like count those in. So in the back of our head, we know we're vacation people. If you haven't been able to tell, we love a good getaway. But in the back of our head, we know, okay, these expenses are coming up, or these people's birthdays are happening, or, we're saving for this piece of furniture or this car or whatever it is, that we're kind of working towards.
Yeah.
But we're more like monthly, month to month.
Okay. So all I know is it's very motivating. Doing a budget and doing it well is motivating. So let's talk about the next 6 words that we prefer to use to describe budgeting.
All right. Number 6, marriage uniter. 7, dream funding. 8, money maximizer. 9, earmarking. 10, provisioning. Provisioning.
It's an ing. Awesome. So I wrote these down here, and this is actually was birthed about 5 years ago. I was frustrated because so many people were talking negatively about budgeting.
Right.
And really, I looked at how this has impacted me and at how it's impacted the thousands and thousands of people we've been able to help get a budget working and at these live events that I speak at and hearing people talk about it. And of course, I've had the opportunity to go back to the same place and speak year after year.
Which is cool.
And being a part of people's journeys and hearing that. That's why we love hearing your success stories. But I've heard about how it's united marriages. And what happens is this idea of talking about money is amazing, because really, when you're talking about money, it always leads to a conversation about dreams. It always leads to a conversation that is bigger than just the money.
Right.
And as we all know who've been married, communication is the key.
Yeah.
And when you get to communicate about money, you're really communicating about your aspirational hopes, plans, and dreams. You get to talk about the kiddos, and your son is going to be growing like a weed, and he's going to need clothes nonstop. And you get to have those conversations about that, and it's marriage uniting. It's also dream funding. You talk about your getaways and going to the beach and all the different dreams that you want to fund. Right now in my yard, there's a hole in the ground because we're funding my wife's dream.
It's an exciting hole.
Of a pool. I don't know why anyone would pay any money to put a hole in the ground. Literally, I'm throwing money at a hole in the ground. However, my wife, it's her dream. And what I know is I bought her a pool for $7 at Walmart on clearance, and the kids loved it.
Not the same thing.
But it had diving hazards. It was only about 7 inches deep. And so it didn't quite fund her full dream. So we're funding her dream, and that's marriage uniting. It's
team bonding. We're spending our Fridays there this summer.
Our entire team, the entire Monday Money Tip podcast team is going to be there. I can't wait for that. That's going to be incredible. And lots of kids are going to learn to swim there. It's going to be great.
Yep.
But it's also a money maximizer. A budget helps you maximize every dollar you have. It allows you to earmark those dollars. It allows you to provide. It is provisioning for all those things that you need, your needs, not just the wants, but also your needs. Let's talk about the next 5 words.
All right, the next one's number 11, opportunity maker. 12, obstacle destroyer.
Woo!
13, freedom giver. These are very powerful words. 14, fun finder. And then 15, money management.
It's awesome. And I love those words. And I'm going to kind of focus on the first 2 there, number 11, number 12. And we're going to include these in the show notes as well, I hope, so that people can read them. But the opportunity maker, I love that. Because when you have a budget and you're intentionally saving and you're looking ahead, you can say, you know what? I have this opportunity to do this thing 6 months from now. And because I have this budget, I can see the pathway to get there and fund it. I just planned a Canadian fishing adventure with my son.
That's exciting.
And I invited some other guys with their sons to go along.
Yeah.
And we got 3 of us that are going with our sons. And because it's happening about 6 months from now, it allows us to plan appropriately. And I can see a pathway to get there. And so we could just say yes. That's awesome. It's an opportunity maker, but it's also an obstacle destroyer. Because when you have a financial obstacle, sometimes it's so big in our head, the cost. But when you see the numbers, you can find your way to it because the math will not lie. And that's awesome. It's also a fun finder. It gives you freedom. And there's a helpful tool that you can find at iwbnin.com. Just click on the budget tools. If you go to those budget tools and download the template, start with the monthly budget or the weekly budget. If you're more of a super duper budgeter and you like to look ahead, as I like to, make sure you click on annual plan under tools and you'll get a budget that goes month by month for 12 months. And the key financial quote for this is what, Megan?
This is one of my favorites. Budgeting is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went.
Budgeting, that's all it is.
Yeah.
Any negative emotion associated with it is because of some prior decision that you're reminded of through budgeting. And that is the negative side of it. But make sure you take advantage of the positive side. Tell your money where to go. You'll never wonder where it went afterwards.
Perfect. All right. Well, that is all we have for today on the 15 positive and negatives of budgeting. I like it. If you have other ones that you'd like to add, maybe other positives that you'd like to add that you've seen come out of that, definitely let us know. We'd love to hear from you on those. Our next topic is going to be bite-sized debt. So next week, we'll be discussing how to make debt more manageable and create a plan of attack by breaking it down into bite-sized pieces. So that's going to be a great episode.
That's going to be great.
And
And the key word there is bite-sized.
Yep.
You can snack on it. Snack on
What
your
do they
debt.
say? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time?
One bite at a time.
All right. And if you like today's episode, please help us get this podcast to other people who could benefit. You can do this by quickly rating our podcast and leaving us a review. And these ratings and reviews will help us make our podcast better for other listeners. And also don't forget the last Monday of the month, we'll be answering your top money questions. So if you have any questions, please send them in. You can email them to info@iwbnin.com, and it could be featured on our podcast. And lastly, if you've implemented any of our tips or if you have a success story, we'd love to hear that as well. So make sure you shoot us the email at info@iwbnin.com.
That's awesome. Hey, we're super fired up. It's springtime. It's awesome. It's a great time of year. Go spring clean your budget and think about the positive side of budgeting and destroy the negative side of it. And we can't wait to see where you go through this springtime with your finances. We'll see you next episode on the next Monday. Get fired up.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit iwbnin.com. We'll catch you next time.